All right. Thank you very much, Fahad. Even I need to put on a big Colgate smile for you. But as you say, all good things must come to an end. And I think it was an extremely, to be very truthful to you, Fahad, I think it was an extremely informative and a useful session. To be truthful to you, I started off by saying, okay, I'll be the panels I'm chairing or moderating, I'll be part of that, and after that, I'll remain in the background. But I ended up attending most of them, and I had to literally jot down notes because there was so much of information and so much of nice thoughts or ideas being shared across Africa. And repeating from what I've said in my last three, four opening and closing sessions, is that Africa is the learning ground. And to be very truthful to you, as Raj just put it, COVID 19 is a good crisis for Africa because I have always believed that the only solution for Africa is digitization, which has been proved time and again in M-Pesa. In fact, during my Ecobank days, when there was a rush to expand distribution and expand branches, I always said Africa is not about brick and mortar branches. Africa is all about digital. Africa is all about virtual because the cost of putting up a branch, the cost of putting up an infrastructure in Africa, right? Putting up a generator, putting up the security network, the security guards, just don't add up to make a branch profitable. And I've been time and again proved correct, both in UBA in my earlier stint as well as in Echo. I used to tell Echo to tone down their countries and tone down their branches. And Echo in the last 5 years have come down from 1350 to 850 branches, which is almost a reduction of about 30% in their branch network, which clearly reflects that Africa is not about brick and mortar branches, traditional banking, but is more about virtual banking, digital banking. So this crisis in Africa is about that. Now the question is, who will take over the biggest market share in Africa? And that's what we've discussed, and how we've discussed everything from end to end, starting with the CEO panel down to the last CDO swap session, which I was, very, very interestingly listening to. So whoever, I think the important points to be noted here, and I'm sorry, I'm reading out from my notes because it was so informative, is that whoever wins the race, it will all depend on the speed to market. Because here is a situation where we have the traditional banks who are like huge elephants. In their DNA, they don't have the fintech DNA. They take time to move because they are toned down by risk. They are brought down by risk parameter. The risk guys come and start pounding on them the moment they talk about expanding and lending and giving things out and doing stuff. On the other side, you have the fintechs who don't have the capital what the banks have. And on the third are the mobile operators, the MNOs, who have the distribution, who have the capital, but who don't have the expertise. So it'll be a very interesting to watch how it happens. Is it buy, is it build, or is it partner? What kind of model succeeds and who succeeds? I think that's going to be a very, very interesting next few months to watch. And as Vimal, my colleague, learned colleague in the CEO panel, had said, digital is an enabler. It's not a strategy. And that's what I've always believed in from day one. That digital is an enabler to your overall strategy of, the way you need to do things. So it's, I think this session we've covered a lot of stuff, starting off with the overall general business. Then we've covered cybersecurity, we covered fintechs, we covered the works. We've covered about SME, how we're going to support the SMEs through digital in this current situation. We have discussed about AI. We have discussed out, right, what is AI, right? Manish, my colleague on the CEO panel, said AI is like a child. It has to be taught. Whatever you teach it, it will learn and it will carry on like that. Right. Then we need to figure out that, who are we competing with in Africa? And that's what we understood on the payments channel, that in Africa, we are not competing there, because Africa has the advantage or the disadvantage of Africa is that it has the highest amount of underbanked and unbanked population. So we need to, we need to figure out how do we bank these guys and how do you do financial inclusion for them? How do you do KYC for them? Should we use the normal traditional method? How do we move on to digital? Can we use some strings of blockchain to do that? Which is again, very interesting. The blockchain perspective was brought in and seeing how we can use the strings of blockchain to onboard customers, to do KYC. And then further, how do we build a model to lend to these customers? So each aspect of the discussion, each session was so rich and informative. And how again Africa is different from other parts of the world is that Africa, we are not competing with banks because there is so much of unbanked and underbanked. We are not competing with payment companies. We are not competing with fintech because the market itself is so huge. But what we are competing with is cash. We are competing with the people who are used to keeping cash under their pillows. 85% of this economy is run by MSMEs and SMEs, as per the latest ILO statistics. Now, these SMEs and MSMEs are used to dealing in cash. How do we bring this cash onto the digital wallet or onto the digital platform? And how do we build a model around this to support these guys, to help them grow and to lend to them? How do we manage this cash of theirs? How do we get this cash into the system so that we can build models around this? So I think we've been through some very, very informative sessions in the last 2 days. We've also spoken about regulators, how regulators need to respond to this, how regulators need to open up, how we need to work on a one Africa regulator kind of a scenario, right? Because it's a very diverse continent. We've spoken about cybersecurity. We've spoken about cloud jacking. So, we've had some amazing sessions in this, very informative. So not taking too much more of the time, I would like to thank everybody who's participated in this. I would like to thank you, Fahad, personally, and BI World, and all the sponsors for, pitching in and making this so, helping get all of us together and making it so informative. So thank you very much and good night to everybody.